Hi everybody, it's Thursday. We're back from our long Easter break. Get with it, Miss Huntley, in which we've celebrated Easter, Eid, end of Ramadan, Nowruz, the Persian festival, Passover, and unfortunately seen the complete opposite, where the world seems to go into hell in a handcart. Haiti, Gaza, Ukraine, some places the picture is very black, but here at Surbiton it's springtime, there's blossom, and it's warm, isn't it? Yes. Oh, is that something to celebrate? Yes, are we all alive?
Yeah. No.
Yes, glad to hear your voices. So we're starting off this afternoon with a mixture of what we read on our holidays, as usual, since it was 3 weeks, and I hope we read lots and lots of things, and also historical fiction, ably presented for us by Josie. Over to you, Josie. Thank you very much. Okay, clap.
Yes, give Josie a warm welcome to the hot seat. Come on, guys.
Okay. You could. So in today's Litsoc, I wanted to focus on historical literature, both fiction and non-fiction. As someone who's interested in both history and literature, I think reading books to learn about history can be really exciting, and it can also be a really accessible way to be able to explore new periods that you might not have studied. I want to start with a quote. So as Oscar Wilde said, anybody can make history, but only a great man or person can write it. So
Thanks, Oscar.
So that's what we'll be looking at. So I wanted to start with Philippa Gregory's book.
Oh yes, sorry, we're all in the middle here, so yeah, I'll get the other two with you.
What do you think stats are on women and men writing?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's a good question.
So I want to start with this book, which was released by Philippa Gregory. Now, you might know her more for her fiction novels, such as The Other Boleyn Girl and The White Queen. But last year she released her non-fiction book, Normal Women, at the end of 2023. The book covers 900 years of history and shares the experiences not only of the extraordinary individuals, but also looks at what the lives were for more ordinary or not so ordinary women, as the case may be, and how their lives have developed from 1066. I found the book really interesting. I think it broke a lot of the preconceived perceptions I had about how women's rights have gone from pretty bad to gradually better throughout history. It was quite interesting to find that, but prior to the Norman conquest, women were able to own property and they were also able to have divorce rights.
Yeah, but the Clavidius, Vikings and Normans again.
Yeah, but
boo hiss.
Which were taken.
It's a tough crowd this afternoon, Josie. It's a very tough crowd.
Which were taken away. One of the more random things that I found out was that spinning wheels were quite a big thing for women, because previously they had small wheels, which meant that they could work pretty much anywhere, which meant they were visually on display a lot more. But with the creation of the spinning wheel, it meant that they had to stay in their houses a lot more often, and that kind of added to the idea that women weren't adding to society because they weren't being seen. So although that was already being said, because women weren't being seen, the reminder that they actually are kind of started to disappear more. Near the end of the book, Philippa Gregory also talks about how there's strong gender expectations put on women, and there were tests done, and prior, if women were told that they were inferior to men in doing a certain activity, they generally performed worse. But when they weren't told that at all, they performed equally as well.
Or better. Maybe.
If not better. And she describes the idea of this, what a woman should naturally be like, being as a poltergeist summoned by men's imagination.
Wow, great quote.
And she says that because of that, it can mean that we can feel very isolated, especially thinking we're at girls' school. For women, they often feel isolated for not fitting perfectly into what they're expected to be. And so she ends the novel saying to remember that all women are in a sisterhood together, and that we should try and work with each other through history, because we face so much, and that it's no use going against each other. We should remember that as a collective, like, we're stronger together rather than internally fighting.
Yeah, wise word. Strong words to live by. Now, that was a long time in the making, wasn't it, this book?
Yeah,
She took, was it 10 years? Is
Yeah,
that right?
10 years. She started looking into it when she was writing The Other Berlin Girl, because she realised that there were lots of names of women who she'd never heard of and never studied, and she wanted to write a book to kind of share those names and shed a light on their lives. So.
Well, I suppose also if you're doing the research and then you've got to stop doing the research because you must get down and write the fiction book, it's waiting there, isn't it? Looking balefully at you. Use me. Yeah, absolutely.
Esther?
Me? Is it me now?
Oh, hello, yes, okay.
Right.
So Josie's teed us up, so now it's...
Okay.
Thank you, Josie. Well,
Thank you, Josie. That sets us up nicely.
Thank you.
So this book isn't actually in shops yet, because it's...
Oh, here's come off it. When's it coming then?
well, the launch party is in August.
Listen,
but
it does not approve of this.
The author is a friend of my mum's. They're writing buddies, and they... but anyway, the author's name is Rachel Blackmore, and the book is called Costanza. Costanza is, it's named after the lady Costanza, and she was the muse of this sculptor called Bernini.
Giovanni Bellini.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of the story of how, like, she became his muse, and then he was very controlling, and how sort of, like, after she's, like, revealed, and, like, how her life sort of goes downhill for quite a bit, and then sort of her becoming stronger again, and I think it's going to be really cool. My mum's read The Ark, and apparently it's really good, so I think everyone should buy it when it comes out.
Well, you would say that.
Everybody.
The cover's really pretty as well.
Oh yeah, can we have a look? Can you show us?
So it's just coming hot off the press then, yes?
Yeah. So this is the cover.
Oh wow, yeah, okay, that is
It's
pretty.
really nice.
That's pretty visually striking.
I do like that one actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Do you want to?
How cool is that? Wait, that's really cool. They were flowers. Oh, wait, no, I thought they were coconuts at first, and I was really confused.
Is it geometric shapes or is it flowers?
It's like flowers and like grapes and berries and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But it's a nice cover. I really like it. But it's set in the 1600s because obviously it's Bernini. But yeah, Rachel is very cool. Yeah, please read it.
When it's published,
email to Mr. Humphreys with the link within it, and then he might, as I've just done for another book about history.
Oh, have you emailed it to me
yes.
now? Yeah, okay. And
African History of Africa, which is published today. But yes, we will.
Yes, come September, I
Oblige.
will oblige, and we can maybe.
The pots run dry at the moment. Mixed metaphor. Yeah, that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you.
Sorry, that was a bit short.
No,
No, that's fine. Quality, not quantity.
Absolutely. Okay.
Right. Oh, it's Alan now, is it?
Yeah, great.
Notes.
Guys, I feel really unprepared.
No, you just.
Just remember, the rest of us don't have notes either. I think. I don't.
So I'm going to be talking about The Name of the Rose.
Golden oldie.
It's by Umberto Eco. It's his debut novel. It's a historical murder mystery set in an Italian monastery in the year 1327.
Say the least.
Yeah. That's just the basic premise.
That's the basic premise, isn't it?
I can't spoil anything.
Oh.
Well, let's see what you have to say.
Yeah, go on.
Firstly, Eco was a medievalist who is someone who studies the Middle Ages. He's a philosopher, and he worked as a professor of semiotics, which is the study of signs and symbols, and you can really see his background in The Name of the Rose. He uses techniques of meta-narrative, partial fictionalisation and linguistic ambiguity to create a vibrant world enriched by layers of meaning. His writing is one of my favourite things about this book, even in translation, because it's originally in Italian. The vivid language and sheer beauty of the writing have stuck with me for many months. The central conflict revolves around the death of a monk under mysterious circumstances, which the mentor of our protagonist, the Franciscan friar William of Baskerville, is asked to investigate. The narrative of this story is centred on William of Baskerville, as Eco employs the Conan Doyle approach of showing us his actions through the eyes of his novice, Adser of Melk, who's transcribing this story in the future. Regarding William's name, it alludes to probably the most famous Holmes story, The Hound of the Baskervilles, and to William of Ockham, which is where we get Ockham's razor, who was a Franciscan friar who was one of the major figures of medieval thought and was at the centre of major political and intellectual controversy of the 14th century. As you may be able to tell from the naming influences, this draws a lot of inspiration from classic detective stories, but you can definitely see Eco's own experiences as a medievalist, with a description of monastic life in the 14th century. And the conflict that overshadows most of the book, the controversy surrounding the doctrines about absolute poverty of Christ between branches of Franciscans and Dominicans. While I like this book, I did find the religious conflicts harder to understand, especially when I tried to pick it up again after some time away. So I would say that this book is best read as in as few pieces as possible. And then, finally, this book has been described as a work of postmodernism. A quote from the book: "Books always speak of other books, and every story tells a story that has already been told," referring to the postmodern idea that all texts perpetually refer to other texts. Yet it also harks back to the medieval idea that citation and quotation of books was necessary to write new stories, as well as the work of the monks with the continual transcription of texts.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah, look at that.
That is absolutely amazing. Where did you get the quote? Where did you find the quote?
Goodreads, it has some quotes.
Yeah, Goodreads is good
That's
for
from
that.
the book.
That's amazing.
They're still
You've
good,
just
yeah.
described my favourite sort of book.
A citation.
Well, the books that quote characters and books that quote other
Yeah.
texts.
Yeah,
That's
we're all
what I
about
do
that.
all the time. isn't
Yes,
it?
indeed. We're all about the connections and the illusions here, aren't we? So,
Indeed, yes.
yeah, so...
That's what Litsoc's for. Yeah, that's why we set it up, to make connections between
Mhm.
very diverse things. That's fabulous.
Mhm.
I would really recommend his work if you like that. That's one of my favourite things about it. Everything links. You don't think it links, and then it links.
No, and at the heart of it is this library.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
forget the library. And the... what's his name? Without saying too much, the keeper of the books.
What's the
Is it your... something like that?
Giorgio. It begins
Giorgio.
with
Giorgio,
J, something,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Italian,
He's
isn't it? So,
blind, isn't he? He's blind.
He's blind.
Yeah.
yeah, because obviously there is a mystery aspect, there's a thriller aspect, but there's lots of philosophy.
Well, there was one
And-
moment when I was first reading it where I thought, is it the library that's doing the murdering? Is it actually the library that's, it's Borga, isn't it, as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah,
Um,
Borges,
Borges,
yeah.
yes.
Sensing some spoilers.
Paradise is a kind of library.
So
That's
I might,
right.
I might close my ears.
No, we're not
No,
spoiling
you
anything.
couldn't spoil this one because there's so much in it. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. And have you
Fantastic.
seen the film?
Sean
I've
Connery.
seen the TV series.
Oh yes, the TV series, which was a few years ago now. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't seen the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Sean Connery on the cover.
Sean
And
Connery,
Christian
yes.
Slater. A round of applause for Eleanor, I think, for that one. Yes. Thank you, Eleanor.
I'm back again.
Hello.
So I wanted to talk about Joan.
Ah.
I expect many of you might have heard of Joan of Arc, from her identity as a Catholic saint to the woman who saved Paris, or more recently to the person that Zendaya's outfit for the 2018 Met Gala was based around, or the lyrics of the Smiths song Big Mouth Strikes Again, but it's insisting that they know how Joan of Arc felt. But how much do we really know about Joan of Arc and how she
Very
felt?
mysterious.
So this is the question that Catherine J. Chen decided to pose in her novel, Joan.
Yeah.
She covers Joan, or Jean as in the French, from the ages of 10 to 19, up until just before her death. The novel tries to show a humanised version of Joan, who showing deeply how she cares for her sister, how she resents her father for his violence, and how a tragedy in the form of an English raid on her village could make her from being a desperate teenager, trying to a girl trying to persuade the Dauphin, who was to be king, to raise an army to free France, and allow him to be coronated as King of France.
From perfidious English, of course, and the Burgundians.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the book takes a lot of creative liberties, as there's very little known about Joan, especially that it takes an interesting approach that it doesn't include many religious visions. She does talk about like prayers, but she doesn't actually. You never see her have a vision. It's more driven by her emotion rather than that.
So you don't hear the voices of Margaret and the other
No.
one?
So I found that a bit odd in the book. It felt like that was missing. I kind of saw how she was trying to show how, like, emotion can drive that, and, like, devotion and, like, strength can just drive that. But I felt having visions depicted would have added to that and shown arguably a more, like, complex character, because she had her religious devotion, the visions, and some of her personal, like, drivers all going behind her to try and act in how she does. But I did still really enjoy the book. I think it does a really good job of depicting, like, battles, and I think one of the most, shocking moments was when she was shot in with an arrow through the neck, and decided to continue to fight on, which, according to historical record, did actually happen, which is quite remarkable. But I enjoyed the book, and it shows how ultimately it's a vulnerable teenage girl. She was only 19 when she died, trying to fight not only the soldiers against her, but also people around her, who are supposedly on her own side, because it's ultimately their rumours and how that she has done something wrong by dressing as a man, that will eventually causes her to be arrested. And so you can see how quickly everything turns against her, and ultimately how isolated she is, because her family aren't there. It's just her against all of these men who, as soon as she does something wrong, are very much there to try and tear her down from wherever she was. So.
Well, she was extraordinarily resilient. I mean, the court records are just absolutely extraordinary. Because they tried to persuade her back into female clothing, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then, of course, that made her more vulnerable. So she put her male clothing back on again, and of course, in the end, they held that against her. So, have you been to Rouen? Anybody been to Rouen? No.
Have you?
Normandy again? Yeah, I've been twice actually. No, 3 times. Do you want to say what happened to her?
She ultimately is put on trial, and they find her guilty because she was cross-dressing, and they say that went against God, so they decide to burn her at the stake.
Yeah. So effectively, they're saying that you're a heretic, a witch,
Yeah.
and then they take the ashes and lose them and the bones, so they can't be relics.
Yeah. And although, like, today she is a saint, it was, like, comparatively, like, she's around in the early 1400s. She wasn't made a Catholic saint for a very long time.
No, it's a very, very interesting story, because saints can only be made if there are, do you know? Saints are only made if you have to have,
Like,
do you know, Josie? Anybody know how a saint's made?
Have to die.
Well, not necessarily actually these days, but it does help if you're dead, yes, because then you are supposed to be able to intercede with God. But you have to have, there has to be proof of miracles. There has to be 3 miracles. In other words, that people have prayed to that person, and they believe that something has they have intervened to state to. It's usually to do with health. Okay, and this is why it's so late, because the Catholic Church didn't really know where to have her because of the cross dressing, and so she's made a saint. And George Bernard Shaw, the British playwright, wrote about her, St Joan, and that's in the 20s, 1930s, something like that. It's still a fabulous part for women. It's not done very often now. I've seen it twice, and the last scene is her in heaven, but it appears to be sort of an anti-change. It's not, singing or dancing angels or anything. And they're trying to decide whether to make her a saint on earth. So there's a conversation about it. It's fascinating. She's fascinating. And of course, she's been very inspirational for France during the Second World War.
Yeah.
Because she came from. Where did she come from, Josie? Do you know?
Oh, I did note it down. Sorry.
Anybody know? From Lorraine, and Lorraine is on the eastern side, and Alsace and Lorraine were taken away after the 1870 Franco-Prussian War, and only returned to France after the First World War and the Treaty of Versailles. So it's a place that has a lot of emotion for the French, and quite often people are bilingual as well. And so her personal cross, which is the cross that became the cross of the resistance, is the double cross, not the cross that looks like that, but it looks like that.
Yeah, which you've probably seen.
You will have seen it.
Yeah.
So it's now in Rouen there's a very big, wonderful church that celebrates her. So when was that written? Is it?
It was fairly recently.
Uh-huh.
2023.
Oh yeah.
Last year. That's very recent.
Yeah. I listened to an In Our Time podcast very recently. I think perhaps they've been thinking about. Is it the anniversary? Is that what it is? Maybe. Anyway, so you're ambivalent about it?
I think I enjoyed it as like a story, but I think leaving out the visions entirely made me kind of feel not 100% sure on it being about Joan of Arc.
Yeah.
Hilary Mantel and Margaret Atwood did both sung praises of this book, just to give you an idea of the calibre of author that is.
Interesting.
In my regard.
Miss Huntley, you're next.
Am I next? Oh, sorry. I did not know. Thank you.
Sprung
I'm
on
staying in France, so I'm not. I'm going back to Scotland as well. Thank you. Hello, Paddington. The Paddington Experience, our mascot, not our actual mascot, you understand, but other people's experiences, opens on the 31st of May in London County Hall near the London Eye.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We could do
Maybe this could be the.
We could be a trip there.
This could be the
So, I love historical fiction. I've always read historical fiction, even as a child. Rosemary Sutcliffe was my go-to, and still is my go-to, historical Wonder Woman. She is... she's a very interesting author because she was disabled. She had terrible arthritis, and therefore never really didn't have a complete education. She had to read a lot at home educated. She had a father who was in the Navy, who she adored. She had brothers, so she had quite a sort of... She really was able to enter into the masculine mind, and a lot of her books are about men in Roman times, medieval times, and told from their point of view. But there are always women who are the healers and behind the scenes. Her most famous novel is The Eagle of the Ninth, which has been made into a film called The Eagle, she based her work very much on archaeology of the time, but it's still, although we've made new discoveries, a lot of what she writes about Britain. She clearly loved England and Scotland, and I would recommend her to any age. She's just brilliant, because she writes about Romans, Saxons, slaves, and also Arthur as well, the perennial British hero. However, I am coming back to something I adore, the series of Limond Chronicles from Dame Dorothy Dunant, who is a Scottish author and now sadly no longer with us, also an artist. And these are vast, look at them. 581 pages, and there are 6 of these. Okay, they are extremely challenging because they are told in a particular style. You are expected to rise to the occasion, and you either love her or you and obsess about these books, or you sort of can't cope with it, because so much is being asked of you. Each chapter has and part have epigraphs, but they're usually in the appropriate language. So if we're in, for example, Egypt, Syria, or Turkey, which is where this does go, it will probably be in appropriate language, but an awful lot of this is in French, because France and Scotland, the old alliance, have a great deal to say to each other. But these Limond Chronicles are about the infuriating and frustrating yet wonderful Renaissance man called Francis Crawford of Limond. Okay, Scottish soldier of fortune, scholar and wit, 16th century history. He is living at the same time as Mary Queen of Scots. When the books open, she is a child. She goes to France, grows up, and her fate is bound up with his. It's also got supernatural elements, as the 16th century has. Nostradamus, have you heard of him?
Yeah, the man who made all the crazy predictions.
Prophecies of the future, yes. And Dr. John Dee, mage of Elizabeth, who lived in Castleknowe in Barnes, late of this elsewhere parish. So he is. Francis is infuriating. He has a mother. His father seems to be dead, we think. He has a brother. He has a sister who is dead. She was blown up, a bit like Mary Queen of Scots' husband. Yes, a lot of blowing up in Scotland. And he ranges around Europe, getting involved in all sorts of things. So we learn through this an awful lot of Scottish, French history, not an awful lot of English history, I have to say, although he does visit England at one point. So it's Scotland, all the way around Europe, Ottoman, into Russia, back again. And just as Eleanor discussed The Dame with the Rose, it is built up of quotations from other texts. He is erudite, he is learned, and he has a love of his life who he comes to very late in the 6th novel, who's been around and about, again growing up, called Philippa. Philippa comes from the North Country, the border country between Scotland and England, which was a bit sort of fluid in this late 16th century, because people were always coming from Scotland over the border to raid cattle and then going back again. So she lives sort of in the the countryside outside Newcastle, near Berwick. Okay, and Frances's family home is over the border in Scotland. And one of my favourite places this book is set in is the library at Fontainebleau.
Oh, Fontainebleau, of course.
Fontainebleau.
One of Miss Honey's one of the school's favourite places.
Yes.
Those of you who's done the French exchange will
Absolutely.
know what we're talking about.
Who went on the French exchange here?
Well, mine got cancelled.
Oh.
because
Oh, was it
of
COVID?
Was it COVID?
Oh, no.
Josie, did you
Ours
go?
got cancelled.
Yours got cancelled. Oh.
Oh,
So
well.
nobody here's been on it.
Would
The
you
one in-
possibly...
No, I don't do French, but the people in my their one got cancelled as well, either because too many or too few people wanted to
Too
go.
few,
Well, it's
maybe.
probably too few.
Probably too few.
So
Yeah.
that one got cancelled
Yeah.
as well.
Oh well, if when you have the chance to go travelling on your own, under your own steam, do visit Fontainebleau. It is absolutely beautiful town. It's and the reason we go there is because it's twinned with Richmond, because it's got the castle, Fontainebleau Castle, which is exactly the same age as in fact a little earlier than Hampton Court. But Fontainebleau is a Renaissance castle. It's not a medieval building as Hampton Court looks back. The back of Hampton Court is the neoclassical William and Mary building. The front of Hampton Court was built by...
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Henry VIII.
Yeah.
No, not Henry VIII.
Henry VI.
Cardinal Wolsey.
Henry VI.
Cardinal Wolsey, who was Henry VIII's
Bessie.
Chancellor. Yeah, okay. And who took over from him? Hilary Mantel people. Josie? Cromwell, yes,
Yeah, well
that's
done,
right,
well
yes. And of course, Henry got to, the tyrant, whatever, got to keep it. Okay? I do like Hampton Court, but I love Fontainebleau very much, because I cannot think where the library is in Hampton Court, if there is one.
Very well hidden if there is one.
There isn't one.
I don't think.
No,
Yeah.
no.
There's quite a few chapels though.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And besides having a sister who was blown up, Francis also has a half-sister who looks exactly like him. There is a huge amount of music, singing. He has a beautiful voice. He plays whatever instruments you care to ask. And Philippa, because this is she started these books in 1961 and finally finished in 1975. Philippa is very feisty and amazing and gets involved in all sorts of things, but she spends an awful lot of time trying to sort of, oh, for God's sake, could you not behave like a normal person? And there are all sorts of things driving him, not least because he believes that he is illegitimate. And of course in the 16th century to be illegitimate means that you have no status in society at all, despite being having a mother who is incredibly high class and erudite, etc. He believes that he is the B word, which basically sends him round Europe on a sort of.
He's a soldier of fortune.
Well, he's a soldier of fortune. He's been a ne'er-do-well. He's been in the galleys, but never, unless somebody else out on the net can tell me why. I never work out what he did to put him in the galleys.
Okay.
He tries to kill his brother at one point. There's a rumour that he actually killed his sister.
Is that perhaps why they put him in the galleys?
Well, no, because the galleys were operated by France and Eloise was in Scotland.
Oh, okay.
He probably did something. He was always... he's a master of disguise. So I'm sure you can make all sorts of links better than I as to other people who are sort of like this as well, a bit like Sherlock Holmes in some ways.
Yeah.
He also reminds me a lot of Peter Wimsey, Or Peter Wimsey reminds me a lot of, no, actually the other way round.
Yeah.
And he also keeps crossing this very strange prophetess as well. I'm trying to find...
quite a lot for you to dig through here to find particulars.
That's right. Nostradamus has made a prophecy that he'll achieve what he wants, but not in this world. He cannot have everything. Now, every single title is to do with the game of chess. So, checkmate, the end. And there is at the heart of this novel a human chess game.
Okay.
It is to the death, and it is at the heart of it are two young boys. Francis's son by a woman who's now dead, and a son who looks very similar by a man called Gabriel, who is utterly and completely evil but looks like an angel. And in this chess game, they are playing the Grand Vizier at the Ottoman court in Istanbul, Constantinople, has said, one or other of you will lose your sons, and it's to the death. And what happens is that one child is strangled by the eunuchs and the other survives. And it's a sacrifice. I won't spoil it, but it is an extraordinary moment. So, here is... And right at the end, we have the most extraordinary ending. Remember when I did endings?
Oh, well, I do. I don't think these guys will.
No, they won't, but you might do.
I do.
Anyway, in the end, we have a happy ending, but what's very funny about this also is that Dorothy Dunnett wants you to remember the beginning. In other words, if you can't remember it, you better go back and read them all again. He also, at the last minute, is saved by Elizabeth I, who comes to the throne literally in the nick of time. Yes. I think you'd really like these, Josie, actually. Anyway. Here we go. So, this is one ending. Now, these are the things that he's been. A Marshal of France, a voivoda of all Muscovy, is never alone. It was a long time since he had ridden like this, with no valets, no footmen, no grooms, no harbingers at his heels, and no luggage, and no retinue of gentlemen lances. The last he had had until a moment ago, and had not been sorry to leave them. He's coming up from England, having been in prison, saved by Elizabeth at the last moment, and he's going home. He's going actually to Philippa's house. He was tired, but not in distress, for the ride was a hag on the post, a moment to record, as the ride through France had been an act of ritual. A free and gentle reminder of a familiar book, with the wide skies of Northumberland over him, and the wind and the moors, yellow and brown, rising to Scotland. Tomorrow he would go there. Today, in Flore Valleys, he would see Philippa again. He would learn, looking at her, how she had borne the weight of this deadly separation. She left him in Turkey, and he went to Russia. And then they met again at Fontainebleau, and would read in her eyes the understanding which no one else living could offer him, and receive so much more, a clear, cool judgment on all that had happened since Sevigny, that's his French estate, from the great issues down to those most desperately minor and personal. He would see her. He would see whether she painted her lashes in the same way, and her brown eyes could encompass the same horrendous range of expression, from freezing superiority through scathing correction to untrustworthy whimsy when she was attacking him or tormenting him or holding her own in violent argument. He would see whether the sardonic curling lips seemed as soft, and the high brows round and sweetly polished, and the slender body as lithe, with its budding sweetness now all come to ripen, when her loose gown from her shoulders did fall, and she me caught in her arms, long and small. Therewith all sweetly did she kiss, and softly said, dear heart. And the next bit of the poem, which is not quoted, how like you this? It's very sexy, this book. So he's on his way, but somebody else is on their way as well. And there's also a love triangle going on, and just as he reaches Philippa, because his mother, there's a shot. My beloved is unto me as a cluster of camphire in the vineyards of En-Gedi. My beloved is dead.
Very emotional reactions over there.
So that's one ending, and then we get another one. But I won't tell you what it is.
Well,
There's mistaken identity, there are twins, it's all like
French-
Shakespeare,
French
and it's
lieutenants,
absolutely
women.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Miss Ashley.
I cannot do it justice, really. Sorry, I took a long time.
Hannah's next.
Way.
Wait, is Hamlet there?
There is.
Oh, thanks. I thought I would talk about a couple of things, just briefly. So we've got Hamlet. Hopefully this isn't overlapping too much with Monday, which is Shakespeare themed. Okay, so Hamlet is by Maggie O'Farrell, and it tells the story of Shakespeare's twins and like a tragedy involved with them. I won't spoil it. Now, Shakespeare is like famously elusive, and everyone cares so much because when they're such influential texts, obviously you want to understand them, and to understand them you want to see the influences behind them and understand the person that wrote them. So it makes sense that for centuries people have been obsessed with this, and it's just so difficult to tell. And one of the things it also explores is the relationship between Shakespeare and his wife, Anne Hathaway, through flashbacks and their childhood and exploring his education and things like that. So their relationship in particular, like historians don't really know much about it. Like in his will, he left her his second best bed, and some people are like, "Oh my god, that's so cute," because like the best bed was the one for the guests.
The bed we lived in was a spinning world. As and Duffy wrote. Yeah.
I love that poem.
Yeah.
Oh. But then some people are like, you can even give her the best one, or give her both, like, which is the
It does
solution.
seem a bit mean, doesn't it?
Yeah, just give her everything, and they're like, oh, you didn't use any terms of endearment in the will, but then some people are like, oh, it's a will, like, but anyway, so yeah, the point is that this one takes a nice sympathetic view, which is nice to read, and the way it's written is so beautiful. It's told from the perspective of the twins in part and their children, so you get this like sort of sensory experience of them going through the world and then being in the garden because they have this countryside life, and I really enjoyed that. Like every page is beautiful. I think she writes so well, and I think the book covers quite a short period of time. It's like an afternoon or something like that. Look, okay, that's the thickness, and I didn't get bored. And okay, there were some flashbacks and stuff, but the way she's able to craft like a whole world, however many pages in about a single afternoon and keep you engaged is so impressive. So I would really recommend this. And it's a nicer side of historical fiction. When you write historical fiction, you have to decide a narrative because there's so many options. So I think always go with the positive one because like there's enough depressing stuff.
It was very timely, wasn't it?
For what?
When was it published?
1988.
No.
No.
Oh wait.
What? That's no. No. Hang on. 1988.
No, that's the I think that's the publishing house or something.
2020. If you're reading the Copyright Designs and Patents Act of 1988, it's published in 2000.
2020.
Sorry, 2020.
Which is very timely.
2020, not 2020.
Why is that timely?
And what happened in 2020? We all
What
know.
happened in 2020?
We all know.
But she wrote it before that.
No.
No, it's 2020. It says here.
That was
Well, she might have written it before that, but it was published in 2020.
Oh yeah, so
It's the publication that's significant, not when she wrote it. Of course, she wrote it before 2020, but the publication was significant. COVID. Because
it wasn't that.
uplifting.
It's not so much that it. She's there. She's an author. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thread of thoughts here together. She's an author who suffers from quite a lot of illness, and she has throughout her life. A bit like Alan Garner, another famous author. because out of pain comes ideas, creativity, and finding a different way of living rather than through sport or I think it's creativity. So illness as a motif is something that she's explored before, and we've got that here in this text, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yes. And so when it came out in 2020, it just seemed like, well, we're going, and lots of people wrote about, not just about this publication of this book, but the fact that we're experiencing the type of isolation that villages and Shakespeare in London would have experienced as well with the plague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
because
shut
we
shut
had a
down.
plague.
Yeah, shut down the globe.
Yeah. And it was a
More
very
than-
similar plague,
yeah.
pneumonic.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
Another thing is like the exploration of the outside. I read an interesting article recently that was talking about what we can learn about Shakespeare's childhood and his rural upbringing through his work, and like all the specific references to flowers and things like that. That's definitely something that comes across in this book as well. I guess if you're in COVID and everyone's inside, it's nice to read about beautiful nature. And she's like she makes all these herbs or something. I don't remember. Anyway, so the other thing I wanted to talk about quickly was. Okay, I haven't read this book, guys, sorry. But I saw the TV show, so it's okay.
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
But it's a really good book.
Go on in.
Wait, Wolf Hall. And
Mantel.
yeah, so it's like, this is like really famous.
No.
Historical
very
fiction.
famous.
Hugely
Wonderful.
famous.
Really very,
and
very
Bring the
famous.
Bodies and
Famous.
the
The Mirror
Mirror
and
and
the
the
Light. Oh, the Mirror and the Light is imminent, isn't it?
Light.
September, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're certainly, I don't know if it's post-production yet, but they've certainly been filming it.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Same,
So what did you want to say about
Go on.
Wolf
Oh, well, overlaps a bit about what you were saying with Thomas Cromwell. Anyway, so it basically tells the story of Thomas Cromwell and his navigations through the Tudor court. And, it's super complicated. Everyone's plotting against each other. Everyone's in it for themselves.
yeah, and Thomas Cromwell is the arch plotter.
Yeah, but then you also get, like, his background of his childhood growing up.
Mm.
And, like, his dad was awful to him. So it humanises this figure that... I mean, he was a mastermind. Everyone agrees. He was the guy that did the Reformation basically single-handedly. Brought through all the acts and things like that. So to humanise him is really interesting. And also the way it presents Anne Boleyn, because she's so difficult to portray. Like yesterday, history trip, we went to see Six the musical, and it was quite a different portrayal of her. So good.
Interesting history trip.
Take history A level. All the teachers like dancing. It was so
Still
good.
haven't seen it, have you?
You
No,
have to
I've
see
seen
it.
it.
Oh,
I went
it's
to.
so
Maybe we
good.
can get on the next trip for something.
Yeah,
I was
Litsoc trip.
hoping there might be a...
Litsoc
Litsoc
trip.
trip,
Yeah,
Litsoc
Litsoc
trip.
I'll go again.
Oh, okay. All right, then.
Sorry, carry on.
Oh yeah, so she was like taking selfies, so it's a bit different. The
Who are you taking selfies?
Amblin.
Miss Anley might not want to go anymore.
No, it was like one time, it was one time.
I was kidding. That's winding you up.
Yeah.
So yeah, a feminist portrayal of the wives of Henry VIII, because like they say in the play, in the musical, they're like, we're only known for
The six.
for the six of us,
Force-fed,
always compared to each other, always competing against each other,
Yeah.
who had the most influence, stuff like that. But then they point out at the end of the play, he's mainly known for the six wives. I'm not sure that's entirely true, but like they got their point, and they did it with great music and great puns all the way through.
And is
so-
he in it at all?
No,
No.
it's only there.
Excellent.
It's only about them.
There's
There's
six.
six. There's literally only 6 parts, and then obviously
And then
the
the
people
band.
who do them.
And the band.
Yeah, it's like jukebox.
And do they
musical.
play instruments as well, the girls, the women?
They
No.
have microphones.
They're a bit busy. They're
The
dancing.
ultimate of the voice.
Beatbox, yeah.
Beatbox.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so that's Tudor's
I've been at
done.
the Rose twice, and I still haven't seen it.
I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it at the
Rose.
Rose. It was really just.
Mm.
I
Okay.
went to
No.
London, I missed it at the Rose.
Got cancelled.
I was rowing.
Sucks for you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Well, I think we should go again for a little trip.
Watch
Yeah.
it if you can.
We should go
Watch
again
it
for a
if you
little
can.
trip.
Yeah, take us all with you.
Interestingly, the Thomas Cromwell as a character has been explored in other novels as well. There's the C.J. Do you know C.J. Sampson detective novels? The Matthew Shardlake. Matthew Shardlake is a barrister in Lincoln's Inn, which is a inn of court that I know quite well, certainly very old. And he is, because he's a lawyer, he's sort of he works for Cromwell as the monasteries are being dissolved, and he goes down to Sussex to a place called Scansea, and we see, and there's hideous things going on, and Cromwell, of course, is at the beginning. In fact, not at the beginning. They're sort of 2/3 of the way through of dissolving the monasteries and taking back the land. There's a lot of negotiation. There's horror and a character who's also disabled. So there's all sorts of things going on. And C.J. Sampson, quite interesting because he is actually a lawyer working not as a barrister but as a solicitor. And he's also written Winter in Madrid, which is about the Spanish Civil War. And also a book, a historical fantasy where Britain has lost the Second World War, and it's called Dominion, which actually was also was a TV program when I was growing up, where we each Monday night we looked at what Britain might be like if it was still under Nazi rule.
Speak German for one.
So that's quite interesting. Cromwell is much less sympathetic than he is in Hilary Mantel's. She really loved him.
Yeah. I think you have to agree he's impressive though, even if you don't like him.
Yeah. It's there's some lovely vignettes though with the children on the angel wings and
I wouldn't know.
in the house. In the mirror, because you haven't. No, that's right, you haven't read it.
yeah, remember that detail.
Sorry. Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks, Hannah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm next.
Marianne.
Okay, I just want to tell everyone before I start, I went to Ostentatious this week. It was great. You should all go. Anyway,
Another Litsoc trip.
Ostentatious is an improvised Jane Austen comedy.
It is amazing.
With,
It's brilliant.
with Carrie Lloyd.
Carrie Lloyd, excellent.
Carrie Lloyd. Oh,
Yeah.
she was so good. I loved her. Anyway, I would like to talk about the series of Discovery of Witches, which everyone's been talking about, very fancy, what I would call intellectual books. This is not that. My mum recommended it to me because I was looking for. She was like, Marianne, this book's so good. It'll cure you of your. Because I was in a book slump at that point. I was not reading that much, and I wanted something to get me out of it. And she was like, okay, you should read this. So it's set in Oxford, present day, but it goes back in time. They time travel. It's very complicated. This is how you can tell it's an Oxford. I think she's studying the history of alchemy.
Yeah.
And it's a person who's reading lots of manuscripts, and then she discovers a magical manuscript, and then she becomes magic, sort of. She was already magic, but then she becomes more magic. And then a vampire comes along, and they fall in love. And
oh my God, it's Twilight, is it? It's
Sounds
Twilight.
like it.
It's not Twilight. It's not Twilight.
I thought we were going to get through a term without Twilight because Annabelle's not.
It's not Twilight. It's not Twilight.
Well,
It's not
you got a
Twilight.
few springs in. So, hey, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to carry on.
It's not Twilight.
So what is
It's
it?
only very slightly better than Twilight.
Has his
though, I have
vampire
to
done
say.
anything? Unlike the moaning
well-
women in Twilight.
This vampire's been around since like
Of course.
Forever.
for about like 1,000 years or something.
The age gap is atrocious.
It's worse than in Twilight.
Oh no, please.
Well,
Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry. Well, how does
You right?
Is it he or she is vampire?
Got some water.
pardon.
The vampire, is it a he or a she?
He.
Right, okay, so how does he present? What age does he present as?
Same age as her, ish.
Which is what? Early
Can't
20s?
remember. I think it's 30s because he's
PhD
a fellow of Soul College at
All
Oxford.
souls.
All Souls.
Well, is he? I presume he's not as clever as Catherine Rundell, who managed it at 21. Probably not. He's a man.
Probably not. Let's be honest. But then he did that.
Sorry, sorry.
And then, they fall in love, and then they go back in time to hide from the evil people who are trying to find them. And then they spend a lot of time in 16th century. Queen Elizabeth is on the throne. Turns out he's a member of the secret people, whose name I've completely forgotten, but it had Kit Marlowe in it.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the Illuminati?
Maybe. But then it turns out he was the forgotten member of that, which was quite funny. But anyway, it's a very good book if you're looking for a slightly...
no, I know what you mean. Oh,
I
the
don't
School
know.
of Night.
That one! Yes. Turns out he's a secret member of the School of Night.
I haven't taught Marlowe for years. Are you impressed?
Yes.
Yes. Right answer.
I suddenly could have said anything and you would have go, oh yes, I'm impressed. So,
There's a play
Miss
about
Huntley
the
knows
School
so
of Night,
much.
actually, by Peter William.
That's very nice. Anyway, it's a very good book if you're looking for a slightly soppy romance, but also slightly action-packed, but also not really.
It's the animated TV series of.
Yes. The Discovery Witches, yeah.
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 Which is on Netflix.
Sky.
Oh, it's on
Oh,
Sky.
It's on
right,
Sky,
okay.
yeah.
it sounds a level above you know what to me. It's got a bit more to it.
you know what? It does have a lot more to it than Twilight, but it is still very much a romance book at
Okay,
heart.
I didn't say it was
Yeah.
great art. I'm just saying
It's
better
got
than.
Matthew Good in it, hasn't it?
Yes.
And it's got Sheila Hancock as well, I think.
Yes.
Oh, Sheila Hancock's in it. Well,
Yes.
it must be high art then.
I'm
If
sure
Sheila Hancock's in it.
Sure it's good. But I can't think who the female lead is.
I have
Anybody know?
no idea.
No.
I've never seen it.
I've seen it advertised a lot. It must have been on UK TV Play. Not that I can access now through it. But anyway, so you liked it. And
Yeah.
are there other books as well?
It's a trilogy.
Of course
So
it is.
yeah,
Everything's a trilogy.
it's a
You're gonna
trilogy.
miss me, aren't
It's
you,
a
Harriet?
very good like winter holiday read. You're looking for something nice and relaxing. Kind of just takes your mind off everything else,
Okay.
which I appreciated at the time.
Yeah. Well, it's reminded me of a very, very famous 20th century. Is that right? Yeah. No, early 21st century historical text set in Oxford to do with medicine, alchemy, an instance of the finger post
Yeah.
by Ian Pearce.
Which certainly got me one summer, I believe.
Yeah.
That was great.
And Ian Pearce is quite interesting because he writes detective novels to do with the art world, so Bellini, etc. So artists. There's one artist per or painting or per book, but then he came out of nowhere this instance of Film from the Post, which is an extraordinary novel, and then he followed that up with what's the other one that I gave you?
I know the one you mean.
That's
It's
really
it's
good.
got the Roman narrative.
Yes,
it's
the
got
Roman
the
narrative.
Nazi-occupied France narrative, and one in the middle. But
The Plague.
yeah, the plague. I can't remember. And it's that.
Dream
with
of
that.
Scipio, is it?
Yes,
Dream
that's
of
it.
Scipio.
And it is.
Dream of Scipio
yeah.
is extraordinary because it's multi-faceted. It's about how one age ends and yet
Yeah.
it's not fire and brimstone, it's just with a whimper. So the Roman world transmogrifies
Yeah.
into the Holy Roman world, and the knowledge that the Romans had, remember we were talking about this at
Yeah.
lunchtime, becomes somehow transformed but lost. A woman who was living on a hillside and sort of like a healer.
It's sort of how do you define an era?
Yeah,
And
how
what,
do you define an
what,
era?
What are the where do the
and how do
Andy's
people
like?
become saints and
Yeah.
goddesses, and it is extraordinary. That
it,
book,
it,
isn't
it is. It's exceptional. It
Yeah.
is exceptional.
Yeah.
And it's very. And again, we can't really do it justice.
No.
But it's anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marianne.
Thank you. Marianne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway,
We're going over time for a bit.
know,
Who is left to speak?
Holly or not?
Holly, you and me.
Okay. Are you finishing?
I have got an activity though.
Oh, the quiz.
Oh, sorry,
So-
sorry. If anybody needs to go, please do.
I probably do need to go, guys.
Or we could pick this up again
I think-
on Monday.
I think we'll have to fix it.
Let's-
Okay,
let's
let's
not
do
have
it.
it
Let's
on
do it
Monday.
justice. You're not here on Monday.
Well,
Should we do the quiz? Can we do the quiz? And then we can finish off with the other bits?
You don't miss out on that.
If you need to go, Marianne, go. If anyone needs to go, go.
I think I should be fine.
I mean, the quiz is what?
Yeah.
Just
It's 5 questions.
5 questions.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Let's go.
Well, no, we all get a.
Oh, look.
Do we need a pen for this?
Yeah.
Okay, whoever's bag this is, I'm stealing.
I'll get us one. I'll get us one.
Mine.
It's a bit of a silly quiz, really.
Oh no, my paper.
No. Multiple choice, excellent.
And you know what? Please don't take a large sheet of paper.
God, I need to print too many sheets. Yeah, that's fine. I need to read it. I don't think my... Okay, so basically this is a personality quiz. So,
I see.
so I'm good. There's different scenarios, and then you'll get a result from one of the books that I've talked about, and some of them I haven't talked about yet. So
Okay.
I'll explain. I'll explain the characters at the end anyway. Okay, so the first one is: false rumours start to swirl around you in the Tudor court. Do you A, track down the person who started the rumour, B, bluntly deny the rumours in front of the court, C, allow the rumours to continue, they do not bother you, D, speak elaborately about something else to create a distraction, or E, slap the person talking badly at you?
If you track down the person, what are you going to do after that? Like,
Well, you confront them. It's confronting them,
so
but
it's
not
like
not
murdering
publicly.
them or something.
Well, would you?
I don't know.
A Tudor court.
Force them to create good rumours about you.
Maybe there's like one bad.
If you have blackmail on them, obviously.
Oh yeah,
So
you
you'll need
need
blackmail.
Or you could threaten to kill.
Maybe just like.
So do you want our answers now, or are you going to go?
No, because then it's and then add up what if you get common letters, and then it's whichever one is the highest.
Then you'd have to like come up with blackmail material on the spot.
You have to have blackmail material.
Maybe you could,
Blackmail
like,
material on everyone.
Or you could like.
Why
threaten
wouldn't
them.
you in court? You always have blackmail.
Yeah, but what if it's
Pretty
some
sure some of my
random
friends have
person?
blackmail material on everyone.
Yeah, I would.
It's just everyone.
Everyone? Every single
Everyone.
person?
Just
every single
Everyone,
person?
like
the
everyone.
whole
bad.
entire world.
And if she doesn't, she could find it. She gets
You can have this pen. This samples are finished. This samples are finished.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Okay.
So just tell somebody to send us something.
Next one. You're about to go onto stage, but the rest of the band are arguing. Do you A, threaten the rest of the band that they must get on stage? B, quickly resolve the argument and go on stage? C, you do not need them, you'll perform alone? D, go onto stage.
That's an unwise choice.
D, go onto stage and start quoting lyrics as poetry to delay the song? E, tell the band to put their emotions into the performance. The next one. You are entering battle, but you are severely outnumbered. Do you go anyway? You are skilled enough to win. Retreat and explain to the king your decision. C, retreat. It is a sign not to not fight. D, boost morale of your troops and then enter battle. E, enter battle from behind the woods to give the element of surprise.
I think if
Sound
you
familiar?
retreat like and tell the king, he might kill you. So
Yes.
I'm not gonna do that.
You retreat because it's a sign not to fight. You don't have to tell him that you
Right.
retreated.
I feel like
Unleash
he'd find out
hell.
anyway.
You
The words
don't
and
have
hope
to
I
tell
don't get
them.
like eaten by something now.
Okay, next. You see someone stranded in no man's land close to the trench. Do you A, ask for permission from your superior and then help? B, persuade someone else to help you? C, leave them, better for you to survive? D, immediately aid them no matter the cost to yourself? E, ask your superior, but when they refuse, go anyway. And then finally, a rope is coming loose from an airship that someone else was responsible for. Do you A, report it and deal with it yourself? B, just report it. C, leave it, nothing has fallen apart yet. D, tighten it without saying anything. Or E, tighten it yourself and complain.
Probably pretend like I wasn't.
Okay, has everyone added up?
Yes.
Okay. So if you got mostly A, then you got Joan of Arc.
Oh,
Well done.
Oh, really? Wow.
Joan of Arc,
It was
then.
confrontational. Track down the person who started the rumour.
Yeah, but I did it because, even though she was against the odds, she tried to go to different people to try and get in contact with the Dauphin originally.
Right.
So she's very driven. B, I put Anne Boleyn.
That's me. I'm Anne Boleyn.
C, I did Daisy Jones and the Six.
Oh, wow. Anna?
Mm.
Oh, okay.
D, I put Sydney Elwood from In Memoriam, which I have not talked about.
Ah, In Memoriam. We should get to. Yeah.
Who is very poetic, but he also has he's a very brave and quite a selfless person.
Yeah. Quite the romantic.
Yeah. And E is Darren Sharp from Leviathan, which we also didn't get to, who has a very strong temper and But she's also very driven. She decides herself as a man, so she can join the Air Force, because she's not allowed, as she's a woman.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's you, is it? Okay.
Yeah, me too. So I only got 2. Like I did a different one for everyone.
Oh no, I got
Well, it's
4
mostly.
B's,
Oh yeah,
2 E's and a B.
I've got
three,
two
that's it.
B's, an A, a C, and an E. So
I've got
I'm a bit of all of those people.
4 E's. 1A.
Very E. There you go. So you learned a historical figure. That was great. That was a lot of fun. Can we give Josie a round of applause, everyone? Yes. That was great, Litsoc. Sorry we had to cut it short.
Sorry that you didn't get to speak.
That's okay. I mean, someone went on a bit too long. I
Sorry,
think.
yes, as usual. You should have just press the buzzer.
Maybe we should start bringing that buzzer back. But also, sorry, Josie. Josie, you wouldn't get to speak about In Memoriam, and Holly didn't get to speak, so...
Lots of wonderful texts to borrow, to read, and this is the one that you didn't get to. Is that right?
No, this one. Fatherland. That's why you gave me that look about the World War II thing. I'll talk about it another time. It's fine. So yeah, next week, just a reminder, it's on Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday.
And it's going to be on Shakespeare, as we know. So be prepared to talk about any Shakespeare play, sonnet, or anything about the Bard himself. Talk about his will if you want to, for instance.
Yeah, you can bring a poem or a play or, the horrible histories or the what's the Pratt Branagh film called? Oh, Judi Dench's plays Anne Hathaway.
Can we talk about a specific performance of?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Anything.
Yes,
Anything.
absolutely.
So,
anything you like.
Okay.
It's Shakespeare, and then Tuesday is the birthday, and I'm afraid that we've moved it because Thursday is Year 8's Parents' Evening, and I wanted to be, because it's Shakespeare Day
on Tuesday,
on
so we
Tuesday
can get the video
to get the whole
on Tuesday.
Celebrate that.
And we understand if you can't make it because we understand it's a change day, but if you could, look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, should we
Thank you,
give the wave to the camera? Bye.
Bye.
Bye.